Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Everyday Joy podcast. I'm your host, Ash Owen, and I cannot wait to find moments of joy with you today. If you aren't already a part of the Everyday Joy Facebook community group, would you click the link in the description, head over there and join the incredible group of people following God, trying to find moments of joy, and most of all, seeking after God. I'm so excited to dive into today's episode of the Everyday Joy podcast, so let's get ready to listen to the word of God.
Jesus said, love your enemies. Let them bring out the best in you, not the worst. When someone gives you a hard time, respond with the energies of prayer. That is from Matthew 5, chapter 44.
Shay, I've been loving the podcast with you this week. We just have so much fun.
I know.
We always joke, like we're so grateful for each other. We were talking about how when I go away over my honeymoon, you're also going on holidays like the week kind of like, well, one of the weeks that I'm away.
Mm-hmm.
So we calculated that we're not going to see each other for like 6.5 weeks.
Yep. I don't know how I'm going to deal with it.
Like
I'm going to have to, I'm seriously mentally preparing myself for 6 weeks without
we
you.
literally were just saying, because Shay and I work on another team together and we like just finished our fundraising appeal and we kind of were like ships in the night with each other. Like,
Mate, I didn't see you for like 2 days.
I
and
know.
the next day we
we
were
like hugged in the
we miss
office.
each other.
We were like, Shay.
Gosh.
But it's so nice. It's so nice to come to work and be like, oh my gosh, there's just so many people that I love, and just it makes coming to work so easy and
it really
fun
does.
and exciting because we get to do it together. So I'm so blessed by you, Shay.
Oh,
Love
right
getting
back at
to
you,
work with
girlfriend. Right back at you.
We're looking at this verse in Matthew.
Yeah,
5,
let's talk about our
verse
enemies.
44. Let's talk about our enemies. I think that this verse is a challenge.
Yeah, this
for all of
verse
us.
is so hard.
Yeah.
It is so hard. Now, look. Oh, I don't know about you, but I love people. I love them. And when they don't love me back, I really struggle.
Oh, it is.
It
is rough time.
I wish I could be unfazed by a dirty look, but I can't. Like, it really, really affects me.
Totally.
Yeah.
I just, Toby and I have been doing our pre-marriage counselling, and obviously I'm not going to share everything from that, but one of the things that made us cackle in the pre-marriage counselling is it gives you like a scale of like your partner and you on different topics. And one of the things was like, how much do you care about other people? And Toby's was like, could not care less.
Whatever.
And mine was like, strongly agree. And so I was like, I literally feel the exact same way. I think that, you know, when you have characters and personalities like ours, Shay, it can be really tough to just let things roll off your shoulders.
Yeah.
And I want to be someone like that. I want to be unfazed. And I feel like I'm getting better. I feel like over time I'm getting better at this. But allowing those scenarios to bring out the best in me and not the worst, that is what I'm really challenged by in this. And then also then the action of take it into prayer.
Yes.
Take it into prayer. I was talking to someone the other day literally about this topic, and I said to them, you know when you're giving someone else advice and you're like talking and you're giving someone advice and you're hearing yourself speak and you're like, you know what? That was great. I should take that on board.
Probably also do that. Gosh, I'm good.
That was me the other day. And I said to this person, I was like, whether it's enemies, whether it's, enemy seems like a strong word, but whether it's someone you're having a disagreement with or an argument with, or you think that they're upset with you or you're people pleasing and you're worried about how they feel about you.
Yeah.
I said to them, I've come to this realization that I would carry the burden of worry when it came to people that were making me upset or had wronged me or had upset me, or that I thought even were upset with me, where I got to the point and I said, Lord, obviously if I've done something wrong and I'm aware of it, bring it up, ask for forgiveness, all those things. But if the conversation isn't coming up, if there's no discussion, if they haven't said anything and it's an assumption, that's actually something that they can pray to the God about themselves.
Yeah.
Like, I think we carry the burden of how other people feel about us all the time.
Yes.
And I'm not saying don't take responsibility if you've done something wrong or you've upset someone or whatever. Obviously do those things. But I'm talking about those scenarios, like you said, Shay, where you go, oh my gosh, I think someone feels like this about me. Yep. And you let it fester and you get stressed and you don't sleep because you're worried about what you think. Mind you, they haven't articulated this to you.
Yep.
They
read into every interaction.
Yeah. And I think when this kind of verse talks about, put your energy into prayer, it's like you can pray about it. You can give it over to God and say, God, if this is something, help them to kind of bring it to you. Help them to, have that moment with you, because otherwise, and I've realized this super quickly, you will forever feel like indebted to other people.
It's so true.
You will always feel like that, and you will always feel like you have to be apologizing, and you will always feel like it's not good enough.
Yeah.
But if we deal with it with God, and then they're dealing it with God, that's the best way that we can stay fruitful in those difficult relationships.
Yeah, that's so great. It's definitely, though, easier said than done.
Oh,
and I love your take. You are so wise. Mine, all I say to myself is, not everything's about you, Shaylee.
Yeah.
My gosh, stop reading into it. They probably aren't mad at you. But what if they are? So anyway, I definitely need to approach it differently. Like, there have been people in my life that I've really just... It's one of those things I just couldn't work out if this person didn't like me or if it was their personality. Does that make sense?
1000%. Sometimes it's hard to know if something is intentional or it's a reaction.
Yes.
Or if it's on the basis of something, or if it's just who they are and how they are.
Exactly. And so I really struggled with this certain relationship because I was constantly so hurt, and they weren't technically doing anything. It was just the way they would react or respond or look at me. Literally, that was it. And I would spiral, going, why do they hate me? What have I done? But nothing had ever happened.
Right.
And so trying to reconcile that with God and pray for someone who I didn't even know, like, what I'd done, if something had actually happened, trying to forgive somebody, but was there anything to forgive? Was it just who they were?
Yeah.
And just getting to a point where I'm like, God, I just want this person to bring out the best in me, regardless of how they actually feel.
Yeah.
Whether it's a grudge or if it's just their personality. I just want them to bring out the best, not the worst.
Totally.
And I really need your help.
Yeah. And I think that's the best thing you can do, is ask for God's help in it.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, bringing out the best in us is the characteristics of Jesus.
Yeah.
So like gentleness, forgiveness, self-control, all these things. Because the worst is, and we were talking about this off mic before, we were saying like the worst of it is when we let it fester.
Absolutely.
Because we end up spiraling and we end up thinking the worst.
Yeah.
We end up thinking, and then our behavior turns into that, and then our thought life turns into that, and then our heart becomes bitter and hard. And like it's like this domino effect where I think what's so beautiful about who Jesus is and what he shows us is he goes, learn to love them, whether they ask for forgiveness, whether they apologize, whether whatever. Because the best character are the characteristics that Jesus showed.
Yeah, exactly.
And Jesus took our sin on a cross for every single person. And that's what I always think I get a bit emotional about, right? I think about every person that doesn't know God. He took every single one of their sins. Every single one.
Yeah.
Knowing that they may never choose him.
Yep.
Knowing that they may continue to live a life far from him. Knowing that they may never live in the fullness of life that God has for them. But he still took that sin and died for them. And I think that's what this verse is showing us is, you know, if we're called to reflect Jesus, obviously we don't have the capacity to do what he did at all. But to go, hey, like, how can I show those touches of compassion, those touches of grace, those touches of love, even if someone has mistreated me? Because otherwise, like we said, you will live your whole life broken by something that will never get fixed. Yeah. And if you live like that, it will never get fixed because it's not up to you. It's up to them. And you can't fix or change or, you know, make someone do or think or feel anything. Only the Holy Spirit can do that. So that's why I think it says, respond with energies of prayer, going, okay, I'm going to pray about this. I'm going to pray that they, you know, see the light, or vice versa. Just be like, sometimes you have to pray, Lord, help me to release it. Lord, help me to forgive them. Because once we do that, that's when you can continue. That's when you can keep going. Otherwise, you just get stuck in this old spiral.
Yeah, so true.
So what can you do today? What can you give to God? How can you pray and ask God to help change your perspective, to help you love someone better today? Whatever it is, make sure you do it. And I know it'll change the trajectory of the relationship. I hope that you got so much out of today's episode and got things that you can take into your week, into your month, and into the rest of your year. I cannot wait to continue to unpack the Word of God with you tomorrow, but until then, I pray you're able to find moments of joy.